You notice, same kind of format. I have 3 columns here. I'm going to be graphing something down here. And I do have the domain for t given, but they did not write it in interval. Well, they did. It's right here. But they told me the problem has specific points that I'm going to find. So also notice your parametric equations are still in terms of t, cosine t and sine t. Also notice that it is cosine and sine. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the cosine and the sine value at 0 pi. And we're just going to multiply those values by the number in front. So we're going to multiply those values by 5. So at the beginning of the unit circle, remember the cosine value, which is x. The cosine value is 1. But remember that 1 is going to be multiplied by a 5. The sine value is 0, but that 0 is going to be multiplied by a 5. So this top row right here is going to be 5, 0. All right, pi over 2. That's the top of the unit circle. So the cosine value is 0, but the sine value is positive 1. And again, we're going to be multiplying those values by 5. So this is going to turn into 0, 5. The left side of the unit circle, that's where cosine is negative 1. The sine value is 0. So this ordered pair turns into negative 5, 0. The bottom of the unit circle, that's where cosine equals 0 and sine equals negative 1. So this is 0, negative 5. And then 2 pi, guys, it's going to be the same exact answers as the top row. So it's going to be 5, 0. All right, let's go ahead and plot that, connect the dots, and then analyze the shape. So we're just going to plot these ordered pairs here. So 5, 0, 0, 5, negative 5, 0, and then 0, negative 5. So as I try to form this shape, guys, y'all should see that this is a circle. All right, so just to review these directions, complete the table, we did. Graph the parametric equation, we did. And then the next part was to find the rectangular equation. So remember the rectangular equation, rectangular means it's on an x and y coordinate grid. So a rectangular equation always has x and y together. No t values. No t values in a rectangular equation. Okay. So let's go ahead and do this part. I'm going to be able to fit it down here, but I am going to zoom in because I'm going to write really small. Okay, so remember, I'm just going to recopy the equations. X equaled 5 cosine t, y equaled 5 sine t. What we're going to do is we're going to solve for cosine t, and then we're going to solve for sine t. All we're going to do is divide both sides by 5. So when I divide both sides by 5, x over 5 equals cosine t, and then y over 5 equals sine t. The only way that I can put this in rectangular form is to use the Pythagorean identity. And remember, the only Pythagorean identity you need for this section right here, 7.5, is cosine squared plus sine squared equals 1. You will not need the I tan secretly. You will not need the I cut cheesecake, just this one. You will use this tomorrow. If you don't use this tomorrow, then you probably got that question wrong. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're just going to plug in the values. I know what cosine is. I just need to square it. So I'm going to write x over 5 squared plus y over 5 squared, and that equals 1, And I can go ahead and square this stuff. Remember, when you square fractions, you square the top separate from the bottom. So this is going to be x squared over 25 plus y squared over 25 equals 1. And guys, remember, this is a circle. And remember, in standard form, there's no fractions. So we have to multiply everything by the denominator. So let's multiply both sides by 25. Now remember, these 25s are going to cancel out. So it's going to be x squared plus y squared, and then 1 times 25 over here on the right side of the equal sign is 25. And that's rectangular form, which is standard form for a circle. Okay, so we've done all of the left side. Let's go ahead and analyze the right side of this paper. So I have x equals and y equals. I have 2 plus 3 cosine t, 2 plus 6 cosine t. I know it's in parametric form. I see the t value, and x and y are separate. They both have their own equation. So again, I notice my inputs are the same as they were over here, but I'm multiplying them by different numbers, and then I'm adding. Remember to do the order of operations correctly. You're going to multiply, then you're going to add. All right, so let me just get started here. So the beginning of the unit circle, remember, that's where cosine equals 1. So that's going to be 3 times 1 plus 2. Remember, the sine value is 0, but it's multiplied by a different number. So this is 6 times 0 plus 2. So this turns into 5, 2. Top of the unit circle is where cosine equals 0, but sine equals 1. Do your order of operations. This turns into 2, 8. The left side of the unit circle is where cosine equals a negative 1, but sine equals 0. So this is going to turn into negative 1, positive 2. 3 pi over 2, remember, that's the bottom, so cosine is 0. But sine is negative 1. So this is going to turn into positive 2, negative 4. Last one, this is going to be a repeat, so it's just going to be 5, 2. Okay, let's plot these ordered pairs and kind of figure out what shape this is. So 5, 2. 2, 8. All right, so it's certainly not a circle, guys. So we know this one's going to be an ellipse. So we know that this one is an ellipse. Before we continue, guys, let's find the center. So the way that we find the center, a great easy way to find the center is to connect the endpoints of the major and the minor axis. Where the axes intersect is the center. So I know the center is at positive 2, positive 2. And it is vertical. And just remember, when it's vertical, the A value is going to be underneath the Y value. All right, it's time to convert this into rectangular form. Same process. Remember, x for this was 2 plus 3 cosine t. Y was 2 plus 6 sine t. Now, if you ever wondered why h and k were opposite in the equations, you're about to get your answer. So we are going to solve for cosine t and sine t. We're going to move the 2 over, so it's going to be x minus 2 equals 3 cosine t, and then of course divide both sides by 3. So x minus 2 divided by 3 is cosine t. I'm going to do the same thing for the sine value. The sine value is going to be y minus 2 divided by 6 is sine t. And remember, the only one that we're going to use is cosine squared plus sine squared equals 1. We're going to reuse that Pythagorean identity right there. So dropping in our values, x minus 2 over 3 squared plus y minus 2 over 6 squared equals 1. And just a reminder, you square the top and the bottom separately. So the top is going to be x minus 2 squared. We are not foiling that out, so just leave it like that. 3 times 3 is 9. We're not foiling out the other one either, so just leave it squared, but do square the bottom, so it's going to be over 36, and it equals 1. Now remember, ellipses equal 1, so that's why it looks like that. Notice our denominators. Here's b squared, here's a squared. Notice our HKs are different. They're opposite. They are opposite because they are derived from parametric form.